Hey, what's going on, GameLeapers? This is Coach Cheeks, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about the 15 best mid laners for patch 11.24b, which should be hitting the Rift today. So to know who the best mid laner is going to be to give you free LP, this is the video for you. And like always, we will be giving you the build, the runes, the skills, the skill order, all of the information you need to pick these champions and hit the ground running. And just before we do get into the video, make sure to check out the GameLeap website linked in the description and comment section for all your League of Legends needs. We have challenger players and coaches from around the world making content for our subscribers on a daily basis. I'm talking up to 20 videos a week. So to get that exclusive access, sign up and let's get into the mid laners countdown. Now coming in at number 15 is a champion who featured in our top laners video for 11.24b, and this is Cassiopeia. Now why is Cassiopeia one of the top mid laners? Well, it's all because Archangel's staff is only costing 2600 gold, and because tier Archangel's Seraph's Embrace, this is the essential item for Cass. You are all about spamming your spells, and now because it's giving you ability haste, alright, you might not hit as hard because you're not getting the AP, but it's really useful for your QW and ultimate. And with Conqueror stacking now back to 5 seconds, it means that you can keep Conqueror stacked a lot more often, and this just makes you more of a force in the mid lane. Now coming in at number 14, we have our first AP assassin of the countdown, and even though Fizz does pretty bad into Cassiopeia, you can see in the matchup section, the reason I'm recommending Fizz is because of his win rate overall, and just the fact that you can hard carry games on him probably easier than you can on Cass. And with your core items of Luden's Tempest, Lucidity Boots, and Zonya's Hourglass, this is one of the scariest core item setups in the game. Now in lower elos, Fizz can really work too, because people aren't going to punish you during the laning phase like they should, because you're not the strongest champion in the world for the first 5 to 10 minutes, but because lots of mid laners will let you CS for free, they'll let you roam without pinging your location, it should be easy enough to stay level with them and even pick up leads by roaming around the map and killing other enemy champions. Now another mid laner who's doing extremely well, but it's more of a team fighter than Fizz is, this is Lissandra. And one of the reasons I love Lissandra is just because in pretty much every game she is going to have value. So if you think of her amazing team fighting potential with her W, her claw, her ultimate, you can lock down champions and completely turn the tide of battle. And what's also great for Liss is the fact that Everfrost is staying at 2800 gold. So the fact this mythic spike is still so soon in a game, compare this to other champions who might be going more expensive mythics, this just accelerates your scaling and makes you more of a force on a map sooner than pretty much anyone else. But let's say you want to play a mid laner who's even more utility based than Lissandra. Well, Twisted Fate coming in at number 12 is certainly a good shout. And the rune page I'm going to recommend for you guys revolves around Spellbook and taking Resolve as your secondary trait, because as Twisted Fate, you are very fragile, so having the bone plating there and even the unflinching just makes you harder to kill. This hopefully will get you to level 6 for free, at which point you can ult around the map and influence the game better than anyone. Now as far as your items go, just like Lissandra, the fact that Everfrost is still 2800 gold, really nice, and when you pair this with Rapid Fire Cannon, you will be able to pick up kills for your teammates from a whole screen away. But a champion who can dumpster pretty much all of these we've already been through, this is Kassadin. But Kassadin is getting nerfed next patch, so not only are you going to be weaker against mages, but your W's bonus damage is also down by 20 at each rank. And these are serious nerfs for Kassadin, especially the passive nerf, because mages and magic damage champions, this is really your identity, to counter these champions, because you're already really weak against AD champions. So if you think of playing against a Zed as Kassadin or an Aurelia as Kassadin, the game is pretty much over before it's even begun. But for Kassadin, his items are still in a great position, so Crown of the Shattered Queen, even though it lost 10 AP from last patch, big deal, the damage reduction is still in there, and then Archangel's staff costing 2600 gold. He is still going to be annoying to deal with, and the damage is still going to be there. So he still has to come in this countdown, just not in the top 4 to 5 champions. Now starting off the top 10, we have one of those AD champions who does extremely well into Kassadin, and this is Aurelia. And for Aurelia, ever since Conqueror went back to 5 seconds the stacking, the ensuing patches have been really nice for her, and this is not going to change in 11.24b. This means that we don't have to run lethal tempo in our runes, because lethal tempo, to be honest, is just a bit overkill. We already have attack speed in our passive, and seeing as we're building Blade of the Ruin King and Immortal Shield Bow, maybe even Wit's End down the line, we should have all the attack speed we need from our items and the minor rune. And to be honest, I don't think anyone is going to disagree with this, because Aurelia, we all know she's just straight up a broken champion. She can miss all of her abilities, still kill you and survive, and probably kill your jungler afterwards as well. She just has way too much innate power for most mid laners, and most of the time you're going to need your jungler and your team to do well to actually beat her. And the same goes for this next champion, because she is so powerful, and this is Annie coming in at number 9, who, to be honest, I can't remember the last mid laners countdown we've done where Annie was not actually featured. This champion has been so good for this entire year, and it's really because the damage you still have can one-shot pretty much anything. Even though Crown of the Shattered Queen is a mythic that might cuck you, because you have AoE, you don't have to focus that champion with Crown of the Shattered Queen. And now with the new Shadow Flame item, you can see this in your mythic and core items, because this is giving you more power against champions with shields. So if we think of Yone, Riven, Janna, so supports with Guardian. There is so much application to this, and it just gives you more one-shot potential. Now, of course, we're still going Luden's Tempest for the magic penetration and then Sorcery Shoes because this amplifies that one-shot potential. And also a point of interest is taking Relentless Hunter in your runes because movement speed, mobility, getting around the map to make plays with your stun and your tibbers. This is why we play Annie. But beating Annie to number 8 is one of the most dominant mid laners in the game at the moment, and this is Akshan coming in at number 8. And the reason Akshan is so strong is because of his 2 auto attacks and his passive, and the shield in there as well. This is why we're running shield bash in our runes to give us a bit more trading potential. We're going to block more of the enemy champion's damage, so you should never be losing trades. Now, unlike top lane Akshan, what you're going to be doing in the mid lane is maxing your heroic swing first, because the mid lane it's easier to gap close to the enemy champions. Not only are there more routes to use for your heroic swing, but the mid lane itself is pretty short, so getting to the enemy champion should be easy enough. Now, as far as your items go, very standard stuff with shield bow, wit's end, and even Mercury treads here as well. Because we're not running tenacity on our runes, we are kind of vulnerable if we do get hit by some sort of CC, so this gives us a bit of compensation if we do get caught out. And it's not like we need the attack speed when we're getting shield bow and then wit's end afterwards. But let's say you want to counter all of these short range, especially AD champions in the mid lane. Well, picking a champion like Malzahar is one of the best decisions you can make because he's amazing at locking down mobile, heavy damage dealers. And a bit like Annie, Malz has just been such a staple pick for the whole calendar year. And the build has stayed the same pretty much since day one. With Leandra's Anguish, Sorcerer's Shoes, and then Rylai's Crystal Scepter, you have the burn, the tick damage, and the ability haste. To be honest, this could be the most important stat because it's going to reduce all of your cooldowns, and in particular your Nether Grasp, so you'll be able to get more ultimates off and lock down more enemy champions. This just makes your lane more gankable more often because you're going to have your Nether Grasp up. And around those team fights which just happen on repeat, especially in lower elos, the games can get quite chaotic, and without your ultimate, you're a pretty useless champion. So this is really effective, and to be honest, picking Malz in any game, you're always going to have some sort of value. But beating Malzahar to number 6 on this countdown, if your team needs an AD champion, particularly one with an ultimate that can change games, then picking Yone shows everyone that you've got your head screwed on. Now, Everton's Riot changed lethal tempo, so it's giving you so much attack speed if you're a melee champion, even though they nerfed this a couple of patches ago, so it's only giving you 13% now, it's still 13%. This still gives you a ridiculous amount of attack speed and max stacks, and because you're getting extra range as well, these champions will not be able to escape. And I know lots of Yone players in terms of their runes might go Taste of Blood and Ravenous Hunter, but the page I'm going to recommend here with Second Wind and then Revitalize just gives you more sustain during the laning phase because that's what you're about. During the mid to late game, you are unstoppable, so we want to get there as free as possible, so without dying as much. So this gives you a bit of security during the laning phase, and once you get out of this and you get Shield Bow, Infinity Edge, we know the drill from this point onward. Now, coming in at number 5 is a champion a bit like Kassadin, who has been nerfed, but not actually like Kassadin in the direct sense, because Victor, with First Strike getting nerfed, with Crown of the Shattered Queen getting nerfed, Cosmic Drive getting nerfed, oh my goodness, how has this champion survived? Well, he has, simply because First Strike is still good, and even though Crown of the Shattered Queen lost 10 AP, like I mentioned for Kassadin, big deal, it's 10 AP, you still have the damage reduction, and Cosmic Drive, yes, this has actually just been wiped out of our build, so instead of going that, we're getting Zhonya's, and then following this up with Deathcap, Voice Staff, Morello, Shadow Flame, whatever it is you need for the game you're in. And with First Strike, even though this is getting nerfed, so the damage is going down 1% or 10%, if you look at this in proportion, it's still going to be very annoying to play against a Victor in the mid lane. The damage you will still be able to deal will still be up there with the best of them, so he has to come in at number 5. Now, coming in at number 4 is a champion who actually hard beats Victor in the mid lane because Lux has such insane range, so actually proccing First Strike on her is very difficult. And because of all those buffs that came in at the end of Season 11, Lux hasn't really changed since. Now, okay, Riot are actually nerfing Lux next patch, so your Q's cooldown is going to 11 seconds at all ranks, so it's not decreasing with each level, and the base damage as well is down. But the real power, the fact your ultimate is still going to be on a 60-second cooldown at level 6, are you kidding me, 60 seconds? And as you can see on your screen now when you have Ultimate Hunter, this is going to be on such a low cooldown, you can use it to clear waves, poke the enemy mid laner incessantly, it's just so oppressive, and if you don't deal the most damage in a game, you are trolling. Now, as far as your core items, of course, we're going Luden's Tempest, Sorcerer's Shoes for the magic penetration just like Annie, and then Horizon Focus because we're going to be playing at range, and it's also nice because it procs off of your Lucent Singularity. The slow in this is going to trigger the extra damage from Horizon Focus. So Lux is still a very good mid laner, and she comes in at number 4. But beating her to number 3, boasting the bronze medal for 1124B, this is Qiyana. And as you can see on your screens now, Qiyana with Presence of Mind, which completely eradicates all your mana issues during the laning phase, is one of the hardest champions to deal with. Even if you do beat her in lane, she has some of the best team fighting potential on the Rift. Because of her amazing ultimate, she has an Invis with her Brush Q, and she has a Root with her River Q. She just has so much going for her. Mobility, survivability, damage, one-shot potential, AoE, it's way too much even for people in higher elos where she has over a 57% win rate. rate, which just goes to show how good she is. Now, as far as your items go, Prowler's Claw with Ghostblade. Even though Ghostblade is costing a little more gold, Prowler's Claw, the active, is dealing more damage, and this is also 100 gold cheaper. So that Mythic Spike, bang, you hit this early, and you can one-shot pretty much anyone. And I don't think there's many people out there who would really disagree with this. Just make sure to ban Aurelia, and you are good to take over. But a bit like Cassiopeia, another mid laner who you can play in the top lane is coming in this countdown, and at number 2, we have Kayle. And a bit like Kiana and hopefully most of these champions on this countdown, I don't know how you can disagree with this, because Kayle with the new lethal tempo, 7% attack speed now instead of 5%, it's too oppressive. I'm telling you, with Nash's 2 Frith, make a def cap, whatever it is you decide to build, you really cannot go wrong. The damage you have, it is incredible, and with the new attack speed, the damage is even higher, because you'll be attacking more often. But a bit like Yone here, just because the laning phase, we don't have the strongest laning phase, so we want to be taking bone plating and overgrowth. This gives us the scaling and also the durability during the early laning phase to get out of this, hit level 11 and then hopefully level 16, and boom, the game is over at that point. But the number 1 mid laner coming in for 1124B, honestly, I'm excited about it, because to be honest, I can't remember mentioning Anivia as the number 1 mid laner for the last year or so. And the reason Anivia is just popping off at the moment is of course because of the Archangel staff buff. Just like Cassiopeia, this has boosted her win rate by so much, and Anivia, to be honest, is still in a really good position, and she has been ever since she got buffed last preseason. So the attack animation, it's quicker, your missile speed, it's quicker, the Q, if it just clips an enemy champion, you can double the damage off your frostbite. Also, your ultimate being on a very low cooldown, especially in the mid to late game, it is just a very annoying champion to deal with. Now, she might struggle against a ranged champion like Lux, who we had in this countdown, but against anyone else that she can make contact with, it is so frustrating to run into her. Even in team fights, you can have an amazing impact because of your Crystallize and your Glacial Storm. Put this in a good position and you will deal tons of damage. So Anivia takes the number 1 spot. But if you guys agree, disagree, let me know in the comments. Who do you think is going to be the most broken for next patch? And if you did enjoy the video, remember to leave a like down below, and also make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, so you don't miss any of our future daily uploads. And until tomorrow's daily upload, this has been Coach G.